This is a quick tour of the Ledoux Guitars workshop for those of you who may not have seen it or are wondering what things look like in here. I've just entered into the main room of the shop. This is the main open area, and I'm just going to go around and just mention machinery and equipment. I'll try not to talk too much about them. Cut-off saw. I like this. This is my mortising machine. A router attaches to the back of that. I built that myself, I think 4 years ago. Lumber storage over here, small amounts. I have a lot more up in the pole barn. And this is a new lumber rack. Up there's all of my tops, all of my backs and billets ready to be cut into backs and things. Dust collection system, of course, that was just put in last February. In March I installed all of that. Quite a lot of work, but it's been really worthwhile. And then next to that, a belt and disc sander. I have all of this stuff because I use it all. There's nothing in the shop that sits here idle and doesn't get used. It's all important equipment to me. My spindle sander and the trusty Delta 14-inch bandsaw. This actually belongs to my wife, but this thing has served us well since 1987. And if you get a good Delta bandsaw, hold on to it, because they were not always good just because they had that name on them. This is my drum sander. This is super necessary in here because I machine parts sometimes down to 25 thousandths of an inch, and we measure their thickness, of course, with micrometers and gauges. And this thing is capable of doing it. So it's been a decent machine. It's got a couple of tricks it likes to pull on you, but it's been durable. Over here, hope you're not getting dizzy with all this swinging around. My band resaw, this is a 17-inch saw, and it will saw up and down here. It'll saw 12¼ inches deep, so I can cut up all of the boards and planks into the thin slices I need for backs and rims and tops and so on. My shaper, I love this shaper. I use a shaper constantly to do pattern work. This bit has a bearing on it, and whatever that rubs against, the cutter cuts exactly that same shape. And so it, in conjunction with this whole wall of different patterns and things, is used constantly in here. And just below that, there's my jointer. I have an 8-inch jointer. It's a good machine. I've had that, I think, for 20 years now. And my planer. If you have a jointer, you have to have a planer. If you have a planer and you don't have a jointer, your planer is pretty well useless to you, because the two machines work together. First to make something flat, and then to make the upper surface parallel to that. Over here I've got a Delta table saw. I bought this 19 or 20 years ago. It's been a terrific machine. And under the runway here, storage for blank billets for backs and so on. Rims are stored there, fingerboard blanks, some partially made necks and so on. Over here, some jig storage. Up in here, those jigs are just for making neck connections and so on, and slats for bending rims. My go bar deck, that's for doing all of my clamping work, clamping braces to backs and to tops, and then gluing tops and backs down to the rims and forming up the box that is the guitar. And of course, you know, behind the fan there, more jigs and fixtures and that kind of stuff. The entertainment center, can't have a shop without an entertainment center. And of course, Wi-Fi up there, can't have a shop without Wi-Fi. I have a milling machine, and I also have this metal lathe. The milling machine is so-so, and the metal lathe is excellent. These are used in here a lot to make parts and pieces and to make the jigs and fixtures and patterns and things that I need. And I have a lot of accessories with it. This cabinet is full of all of the different cutters and gauges and measuring tools and so on that I need. And over here in the corner is my drill press. It's a neat drill press. It's a cheap Taiwan drill press that I got used 30 years ago or beyond, I think in 1986. And I didn't think it would ever hold up, and it's never skipped a heartbeat. It's just been perfect. My main bench, this is where I do all of my hand work. I built this bench in 1981, and it does need a new top, but boy, it's held up real well, and stuff like this becomes an old friend. I even made my own vise castings and then adapted other vise parts to my castings for special use. And of course, my tool wall, you probably saw that posted on Facebook about a year ago when I had finished it up. And clamp storage and that sort of thing. Up here, I have a rack where I keep bodies that are in process, and these are all tops and backs that are glued up and ready to begin the process of bracing up and making up the instrument. And of course, over here, my buffer, absolutely necessary when it comes time to do the final wet sanding and polishing of a guitar to make it ready for shipping. My rim bender, I have several different bodies that I make, so I put different forms in the same bender and bend whatever shapes I want. And I got a lathe here, a wood lathe, that I've still got to get set up. Now behind this door, I have filters in the door. This is what I refer to as my clean room. This is where I do final setup and final assembly of guitars, installing the necks and bridges. And I have the complement of adhesives and tools, and of course the bench is padded. Storage in here, I have bridge blanks and braces and things in there. Another bench here, an auxiliary bench to work from. I mount a vise to this, and I can do a lot of different things with it. And if I have 2 or 3 guitars I'm dealing with at once, I have more space to work with. Over here, this was a storage cabinet that I moved from the other room just last year when I built the new cabinets, and this is where I do nothing but I make nuts and saddles right at this little surface plate here, because that allows me to make things perfectly flat. And behind these doors is my spray booth. This is really cool. By opening the doors, I create kind of a clamshell ordeal here, and I can spray in here, and it exhausts right out through the hole. There's a fan behind that filter, very powerful, and it will just take the fumes right out of here. Makes it much easier to work in, easier to breathe in, of course. So that's about it. That's the tour of the Ledoux Guitars workshop, and I got to keep this short enough to get it on YouTube, but there it is. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I invite questions and comments through Facebook if you'd like to. Thanks. Bye.